Hey, friends, what's going on? It is time for the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes. She is the best tag team partner in all of wrestling podcasting. She is Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend?
Nothing much. How about you?
Just another day in paradise, as they say.
Yeah, just another day.
Yeah, just another day, another beautiful. It's Tuesday evening as we record this. Just another exciting week of wrestling with a lot to talk about. For those that are new here to the podcast, we are a Q&A based podcast where the listener asks us questions about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, and myself and Shay answer it to the best of our ability with our thoughts what's going on. With that said, we have a big episode. Like I said, a lot of things have been happening in wrestling on both WWE and AEW and beyond. So I guess we should get right into it.
Yeah, let's get right into it. Let me pull these questions up. So, we got Jeff coming back in with some questions
Awesome.
and starting off hot. What does Kairi Sane have to do to be taken as a serious contender in WWE? She's a former IWGP Women's Champ, among many other titles. She has the talent and the charisma, so why do they regulate her to a comedy or mid-card position?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, because she's no slouch. We all know that. I think honestly, it just has to go with timing, probably.
Right. Yeah.
I think unfortunately that's just how it is with a lot of our favorites, where it's like, why is insert wrestler here not getting the opportunities they deserve because they've shown that they can handle it, but sometimes the timing's just everything, and apparently right now it is just not Kairi's time. She has to deal with Io having a mental breakdown every week.
Yeah, she's going crazy.
Yeah, Kairi and Dakota are going through it right now. I feel bad for them, but yeah, it's not that she doesn't have the ability, because we know she has the ability. We know she has the charisma and talent coming out of everywhere, but yeah, I guess it's just the unfortunate timing, I would think, because you got a bunch of stuff going on right now, even in NXT. So unfortunately, sometimes timing's just everything.
Yeah, that's a perfect point. The thing is, what it's good and bad about what's WWE's happening right now. It's good that a lot of different people are getting a lot of different opportunities, whereas before, it used to be like all eggs were in the main event basket, and then you had to struggle if you were on the lower end of the card. Nowadays, like, it's a possibility that everybody can be on TV. That's good. You know, it gives opportunities to a lot of different people, but at the same time, those opportunities, it's so many people that, as you said, the timing is just not right to showcase her. But she is involved with Damage Control. The situation with Io is very interesting, because last night on Raw, she when she had her mental breakdown, she said Damage Control has to change. So what does that mean? Does that mean Damage Control gets a new member? What happens to Damage Control? She's a part of Damage Control, so it directly affects her. So it's super interesting. Then you have what's going on with the partnership between WWE and Marigold, where now Io Sky is going to Japan to perform for Marigold against Utami Hayashishita. So like these are all interesting times for Damage Control. The bigger picture is they're all going to get showcased,
Yeah,
and I know,
I hope.
and it's mine too. And I know Jeff is super into Damage Control. They're definitely the favorite parts. He's always in chat, which I'm thankful for, to cheer on, Io Sky, Kairi Sane, Dakota Kai, because just like you and myself, he's a big fan of Damage Control. It's just, like you said, sometimes it's a bummer when our favorites don't get the big payoffs and the big wins that we want them to.
Don't I know it? And Battleground was definitely a good example of that one. But
Battleground was in particular for that match was a swerve I did not see coming.
Oh, I saw it. I did, because I feel like it's an NXT pay-per-view. You can't have the NXT person lose. So It's just like,
that makes sense.
It's a good match though, from what I
It
saw. It
was.
was brutal, which
It
is
was.
I
It
saw
was.
the biggest thing I saw was a lot of people were saying that's how they should have booked Shayna and Ronda's match.
Mm,
Which, from what I saw, I'm like, yeah, that would have been a lot better. That's
yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. But
They took the MMA background between Shayna and Lola way more seriously than anybody else would have done before in the past. They took it as seriously as they should have did when they did the whole Ronda thing. You
yeah,
know, it
yeah,
it it felt like it felt different. It felt like a spin on GCW's Bloodsport, but it
yeah.
wasn't like offensive. You know,
No, no, it was just appropriately brutal.
right?
Yeah,
And it was yeah, it had the WWE spin on it where like they were doing battle on the outside. I'm sorry about my dog, by the way. He's just freaking out.
he's excited about it.
Yeah, I said Lola Vice and he started freaking out. But like,
Well, I
uh,
mean,
yeah, it's like they did it in a way that's very WWE with the spectators and a lot of the action on the outside.
mhm.
Um, but like beating up the spectators and stuff like that. That was more WWE spin on it, but it was great. So, but again, it all ties back to sometimes it just sucks to watch our favorites not get the big W, but
Yeah,
maybe in the scope of things, the way WWE is now, that there's a chance that things can change.
it's what I it's what I keep telling myself, so I don't have an Io Sky breakdown. But
Yeah, hey, I feel you. I feel you.
it is what it is. But I'm actually gonna go out of order because you brought up a very good transition point
Oh,
with Io Sky facing Utami Hayashishita on a Marigold show. How much longer do we think it'll be before a Marigold talent shows up in WWE?
hmm,
I mean, I feel like it's bound to happen at some point, but I feel like they have to do it a certain way
right.
because I feel like I don't want to generalize, but I feel like it's just kind of a fact.
Hmm,
Marigold fans would understand WWE talent better than WWE talent would understand Marigold,
yeah,
like talent and everything.
right.
So they'd have to build whoever would be coming in up like a big deal. They all are big deals, obviously, because I mean
Hmm,
Marigold's no slouch of a promotion, but it's just like you're gonna have to definitely you can't just have a surprise and then have everyone just be like, "Who the hell is that?" Kind of
right.
like also kind of like Battleground. When, Ash by Elegance came back and everyone was just like, eh. Like, and no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say maybe the wrong choice.
Probably. I feel like yeah, I think that was probably not a good choice, but yeah, I feel like just so you don't run the risk of immediately killing someone's debut in its tracks when it even like right when it starts, you might
Hmm,
want to just hype somebody up, like
right.
bring Hayashishita in, bring in somebody else. I mean, obviously you got Julia, who's gonna be pretty much be pulling double duty at some point,
Hmm,
so you got that there. But yeah, I feel like just law of average. You can't have one show up in one promotion without them like returning the favor. It'd be kind of very kind of odd. But yeah, I say at some point someone's gonna show up.
yeah, I think to your point, to your exact point, actually, Julia will be the litmus test, basically.
Yeah.
She'll come into NXT, and I'm sure both Marigold and WWE are gonna look at that and look at the reaction and say, if Julia gets this big reaction from both people that know of her and don't, WWE is going to look at that and go, okay, maybe we can bring in somebody else,
Yeah.
and keep that flow going. It's just you don't want to run the risk of it feeling like it's a one-sided partnership almost,
Yeah. Yeah.
because Ogawa's he's kind of in terms of the partnership with WWE and how WWE operates and how Triple H operates. Ogawa's kind of like almost I want to say almost in awe and like
Yeah.
it just like, oh my god, like this is the level I want to achieve. But that can kind of cloud your judgment if you're doing your own thing. Like you can get like little brother syndrome,
hmm
and like what if like Triple H is just milking Marigold for their newness and their excitement, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm just saying that you could always run the risk of something like that happening, but I think it's gonna be a very fruitful collaboration, and then it's going to help expand the idea that WWE is operating in a different mode right now.
Exactly. It's definitely not your parents' WWE, that's for
That's a good
sure.
way to put it.
Which is in some ways good, in some ways bad, but mainly more ways good. But
Yeah.
um I think we can all agree that Death Rebels themes mostly suck. If we could have any group make new music for WWE, who would it be?
Mm.
Well, and it sucks too because Death Rebel used to make some pretty good themes, like Dakota's theme, Combat's still a cool theme, Damien's old song, Carrion's song. So they had like good stuff. What the hell happened? Like, it's
Yeah.
almost just like they just became so apathetic that it's just like, oh yeah, we'll just like pull something out of the sample folder and yeah, sure that works. We're just gonna slap someone's name or like
Yeah.
catchphrase at the beginning, and then that's how we're gonna do it. So
Yeah, it's too carbon copy of it, it follows a format. You know,
yeah,
let's tag put their tagline in the beginning of the song, and that's how everybody will know who they are, and then go from there.
yeah,
It's like you said, they have some good ones. It's just there's more frequently not so good ones, and then the not so good ones are so glaringly bad.
yeah,
For example, like, Ethan Page's theme, just oof, my
yeah.
god, that is just
To go
is not
from Mikey Ruckus to that's like,
yeah,
eesh.
I mean, Mikey Ruckus is kinda hit or miss with me as well. I mean, to me, the CFO era of
Yeah.
WWE is just that was just when
Those
they
were the
were
days.
when they were doing stuff with NXT. I mean,
Yeah.
Shinsuke Nakamura's theme, Finn Balor's theme. Uh, when I first heard Finn Balor's theme, I was like, "Holy shit, this is amazing!"
Yeah.
Ricochet's original theme without the tagline spread out throughout the song. I mean,
Alistair's
there, yeah, Alistair's. I mean, Incendiary.
Undisputed Era,
Yeah, yeah,
Shayna's.
yeah. Incendiary is like one of my favorite bands ever, and then to have the lead singer doing an Alistair Black interest, it's just like they were on another level. So
Yeah.
I really wish we can get CFO back. Like,
If only.
if only we can get because like there and again, it's the Damian Priest's theme is a pretty good theme.
Yeah.
But like, why is he talking all throughout the theme? Like, like
Yeah.
just let the music play.
It's just weird, and I feel like Def Rebel was getting away with it up until the Royal Rumble, and then they got exposed big time, and people were pointing it out left, right, and center all night, where it's like these people who normally would get at least some type of reaction aren't getting a big reaction or getting like a delayed week reaction because people don't know who the fuck they are when it comes to these themes.
Yeah.
You have to like look at the graphics to even figure out who's showing up because these themes are just so similar or just so
Mm,
boring that there's no like as soon as that music hits you know who it is. Like
right.
we said, CFOs they had so many where the first 3 seconds of that song you knew who was coming.
Yeah. It was just like it was fresh because I know everybody's so like they cling on to Jim Johnson, which is cool.
Yeah.
He's an iconic thing, but it's kind of like brings you back to your original line there, where this is not your parents' WWE anymore.
No.
The music was a little bit punchier, a little bit more experimental. And like I said, CFO was to me that was like, whoa, this is different. This is cool. Like actual musicians that take a look at the superstars individually and try to bring their aesthetic out through the music, but not have to like forcibly say, "Hey, this is Finn Balor,"
Yeah,
So,
literally.
and then they butchered Rebel Heart. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Ugh.
But the Ethan Page, like I was just like, it almost was like as grating as like Mercedes Monet just
No, not that song.
barraging you with CEO in your ear, and it's just like the Ethan Page ones, the all ego, just it was just jarring almost, and I was just like, this is horrible.
Yeah, you're like, well, I was hoping you'd surprise me, and you didn't.
You didn't.
So,
You let me down, Def Rebel.
yeah, what else is newsy? In a perfect world, CFOS if they could come back, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But
I gotta do some reason. I want to see what happened with that. Why can't they get back together?
literally, because at this rate, anything would be better than Death Rebel, because they just are phoning it in, and it's very obvious.
You will pay for your crimes, Def Rebel.
Oh, and they will, because I think I saw some rumor that WWE is very aware of the
Yeah,
frustrations, so I think they're not coming back,
yeah,
hopefully.
they're not renewing their contracts.
I don't blame them at all, actually. Realistically speaking, who in WWE has a legitimate chance at actually stopping Braun Breaker? The man's a menace, and I don't think anyone outside of Gunther has a chance right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're doing right by him, like, exceptionally well. Just he
Yeah,
is just it. Poor Ricochet, poor
yeah.
guy.
Poor Ricochet.
Rest in peace.
Oh man. Real glass, by the way, real glass.
Yeah, real. Yeah, literally.
I had to point that out because everybody was making the joke in the our YouTube comments, and to me, it's like if that was fake glass, the windshield would have disintegrated on impact because that was
Yeah,
close to 500 pounds of force coming down on it.
yeah.
And it would have made a different sound. It would have been a more dramatic effect. Kind of think of Darby Allin going through the pane of glass off the glass, something like
God.
that. The glass exploded and it made that sound. The
Yeah.
same exact thing would have happened there if the glass was fake or gimmick, because that's what happens with sugar glass, for example, which they
Mhm.
use a lot. But that felt like a real windshield. So,
I'm sure it felt like one too.
yeah. But in terms of who can stop Braun Breaker, I mean, yeah, you can. Well, he's already beaten Gunther. They mentioned that fact on Raw.
Yeah.
They were like, there's only been 3 people to beat Gunther since his arrival in WWE: Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker, and Ilya Dragunov. Those are,
Yeah.
think about that. Only 3
Three.
people. 3 people have beaten Gunther since he's been in WWE, and it's been a couple years. Like, so
Yeah.
that's
It's
great.
been a hot minute.
Yeah, so that right there, being under Braun Breaker's belt, is a serious accolade. In terms of who could beat him,
Nobody.
close to nobody. But man, let me tell you, that dude Obafemi down in
Yeah.
NXT, that's a bad dude.
Yeah.
When he is gonna come up to the main roster when he's ready, I'm getting serious, like, rookie Brock Lesnar vibes. Like, this
Yeah.
dude, he literally caught Wes Lee trying to hit a meteor. He caught him on his shoulders and
Mhm.
he drove him through the mat that you're like, Wesley just had back surgery.
He just died.
Yeah, he's probably gonna need another one. He pop-up powerbomb Joe Coffey with ease.
Yeah.
And
The guy's a mess.
Joe Coffey's a big boy. Like, so to pop up powerbomb him with ease, like, this dude is he's just a monster personified. So he's the only guy that would give me vibes that could stop Braun Breaker. But like, to your point, what they're doing with Braun Breaker is methodical. Everything is thought out and planned. How do we make this dude look like a monster? And then you look at the match that he had on Raw with Ilya Dragunov. It was
Painful.
in the beginning, it was like, damn, why are they not operating on the NXT level? Why are they kind of main rostering it? And then it just like kicked into a new gear.
They heard you. They're like, all right, we'll show
Yeah,
them.
that's exactly how it felt. Like, it just kicked into a gear, and then it's like, there it goes. And the best part about it was Braun was on defense. Like, Ilya was getting some offense in throughout the match. But at the end of the match and at the end of the segment with Ricochet, Braun once again looks like an unstoppable, unhinged monster.
Yeah.
And that's the lasting image. It's not, well, Ilya was able to get some punches in on him. Nobody's talking about that. They're
No.
talking about how he destroyed Ilya with like 3 spears and then sent Ricochet stretchered into an ambulance that ended up in Jacksonville somehow.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
So, like, it's they must have some serious plans for Braun Breaker.
Yeah, as they should, because if he didn't prove that he could handle it, they wouldn't have put him in that position. So
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, what's the best way I could put this? Like, if, like you said, if they didn't want him in that position, they wouldn't have done it. And it's a fine line because, again, you got guys coming up like Ilya Dragunov that you want to. make a big deal, main event Jey Uso. Like they're trying to solidify him, and they're probably going to tell a story like, you know how he was mad that he wasn't in the King of the Ring tournament.
Yeah.
What if they exclude him from the Money in the Bank?
Oh,
You know,
someone's gonna actually die then.
right? Exactly. Like there's so many ways you can go with this that it's gonna be something special.
It really is, and it's crazy that we can say that about at least 2 or 3 other storylines in
Right.
WWE right now. It's not just, "Okay, well, I mean, it's this one, and then a couple others are okay, but this one's, like, the standout." It's like, no, there's, like, 3 or 4 standouts
Yeah.
every week.
Yeah, it's that story. It's the Judgment Day, Liv Morgan,
God,
Tom.
my heart.
It's the Alpha Academy story. It's
Yeah.
like it's just weird. It's like, when are we gonna rid ourselves of the PTSD of the last regime and say, hey, we're actually in good hands? Because
Yeah.
in different communities, now that I'm kind of spreading myself out with this whole content stuff, in different communities, you see a different reception
Yeah.
everything that's happening. Like Twitter would be the place where they analyze, dissect, and most likely come out with a negative outcome to everything. And then you look on like Facebook, and like everyday run of the mill people are like, WWE's telling stories again, and it's the
Wow.
greatest thing ever.
Damn.
So yeah, it's like it's such a weird spectrum in terms of how people are absorbing the new WWE. It's like you got the pundits and the analysts, they're still trying to break this down as to how and eventually it's gonna go wrong, and it's too good to be true. And then you look at the place like Facebook, and they're like, man, WWE's awesome again. Like, so it's
Yeah,
like,
literally.
yeah, you can't get a gauge. So it's like, when are we gonna rid ourselves of thinking that it's too good to be true? When are we just gonna accept the fact that it is pretty good?
It might take some time at this rate, you never
It's
know.
taken a while.
It's gonna take a few years, let's be
Yeah,
real.
it might. You're right. You're right.
It might. All right, and Jeff's last question is, what chance does Mina Shirakawa actually have at dethroning Tony Storm? As much as I love Mina, and we all love Mina, let's be honest, I don't believe for a second that AEW would put their women's championship on someone from another company. I would agree.
Mhm.
There's no way she's beating Tony. However, and I don't know if this is like, I mean, it's good in its own way, but also it's not good. I don't think most people are paying attention to it actually being a championship match. At least for
Mm.
me, I'm like, what's gonna happen with Mariah? Because that's more or less what this whole storyline's boiled down to. Not so
Mhm.
much the title. It's okay, well, is Mariah gonna have to choose? Is Mariah
Right.
gonna get involved somehow? Is she gonna cost one of them the title one way or another? Like, I'm more interested in that
Right.
than who comes out with the title because I already know who's gonna win.
Right.
Tony, there's no way Tony's losing. It's just a matter of I'm more interested in what Mariah's gonna do and what she factors into the match because it's been some fun stuff. That's an intriguing storyline on AEW side.
Right, yeah, and I know we have a question about that, so I won't dive too deep into the angle. I just think it's very interesting to your point that this is a title match, but like you said, it seems that the prize is more Mariah May than the title.
Wouldn't it be for you?
Yeah,
I
yes,
mean, let's be real
yes. I
here. Like,
mean,
come on.
out of there's like I said last week, pro wrestling, there's not one unattractive woman that is a pro wrestler in pro wrestling right now. And like, not
Yeah.
to sound thirsty, but Mariah May is like at the top because she just, when you look at her and you go, that's not a real person. That
No, not
that
at
that
all.
that was a person that was created in a science lab in a petri dish with the
Yeah,
idea of creating the perfect human being. And
pretty
that,
much.
yeah, that's Mariah. Like, it's unreal, and that's the thing about her that I think people are kind of afraid to acknowledge, is that the fact that you see her on the screen and that she is so beautiful
Mhm.
that you're just instantly drawn into her. But the catch is, because of her background in pro wrestling and wrestling in Japan, when you see her and you actually focus on her, you're like, holy shit, she's a badass wrestler. She's
Yeah,
not the type, she's gonna hit you hard,
Oh,
Like,
that missile drop kick is crazy.
oh, her missile drop kick is so on point, it's ridiculous. But look at the way she throws the forearms. You know,
Yeah.
she lays them in there like
Mhm.
stardom-esque, you know, because a lot of times when the Japanese wrestlers come to the United States, it's almost like they can be like they know they can work a lighter style because they've spent so much time in Japan putting so much wear and tear on their bodies
Yeah.
that like people are like, well, why are they coasting when they come to WWE? It's like they're probably fucking tired, you know, like they're
Yeah.
probably sick of getting beat up. And in the States, you know, compared to Japanese pro wrestling, it's a completely different animal. Like in
Yeah.
Japan, you have to your toughness has to be the most prevalent, and the only way to do that is to really get the shit beat out of you and dish it back. And that's where Mariah May made her name. But again, the thing about her is like she's so beautiful that you're like, who is that? And then you see her throw a German
Yeah. Yeah.
perfect efficiency, and you're like, who is that? Like, you know, and
Literally.
yeah, so this is a case that it seems like she's the bigger prize besides the title.
Mhm.
But to your point, it's very interesting. Like it's really interesting. The best part about it, and I didn't want to get into it, is that it feels like Tony Storm and Mina, they're fighting over Mariah, but it's not
Mhm.
like an animosity sort of thing.
It's more of like a please notice me more than the other person.
Right, and it could be delved into a more of a protection thing, you
Yeah.
know? Like, they both have the best interests of Mariah's at heart, but, like, they wanna one wants to protect her more than the other. So it is a very interesting concept to a storyline. Sometimes people can look at the interesting ways they set this up with, like, the motorboating and the
Yeah.
kissing, and they look at that instead of looking the psychology of it all.
Yeah. It's just that it's that awkward moment when your mom and your girlfriend are fighting each other and you're kind of just stuck in the middle.
Yeah,
Like,
thankfully, I've
we've
never
all
had
done it.
I
We've all had that
mean,
problem.
yeah, like, you know, me not so often because that would be a scary thing. But like, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's just again, it's the protection of Mariah May from both sides, and Mariah May's the bigger prize.
I would protect Mariah too. Like, who wouldn't at this
Yeah,
point? Like, come on.
she's great.
She really is. Alrighty, so that was all of Jeff's questions. So thank you again. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, I'm not gonna go in order of Twitter because I don't want to. So we're gonna start with mom's stuff first. So her first comment was Carrion was pissed. I feel bad for the New Day.
Mm,
Yeah, I think Carrion's not gonna rest until New Day's pretty much dead and gone. And honestly though, if you look back at his track record of anybody he's really been involved with, it doesn't end well for them. So New Day fans might want to watch out because I think Carrion might he really is like one of the like four horsemen of death or the apocalypse or something, because like when he shows up bad things happen to people.
yeah, this is finally starting to click, and finally it's took so many years, but like this is finally making Karrion Cross interesting.
Mm-hmm.
With the
Finally.
yeah, with the whole story of Xavier Woods and everything like that. I just really hate the fact that AOP didn't get the win last night, and they kind of
Yeah.
lost on some goofy shit. So it's like they're building the Final Testament up, and you're like, okay, they're not as good as like the Judgment Day yet, but
No.
we're getting there with the Xavier Woods stuff, and then they get taken out by the Awesome Truth, which, you know, I love our truth. You
But
know, I respect the Miz. It's just in this situation, being that the super serious, dark, scary, spooky act has kind of been floundering, you know,
yeah.
losing to the Awesome Truth on some goofy stuff doesn't help the floundering act not flounder. You
Exactly.
know, and but thankfully Karrion Cross, he cuts those promos and he talks. It almost feels like a Jake the Snake Roberts esque
Yeah.
vibe that he's going for. He's going for the whole, you know, trust me sort of deal.
Yeah.
So
Soft spoken.
yeah. He's not really yelling or anything like that. You know, So hopefully they can right the ship and make this more interesting with the help of the New Day.
That would be nice because I've been waiting for them to turn a new leaf on Carrion for a while.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is finally it. All right. So mom was not impressed with MJF's promos, and her opinion was kind of weak.
Yeah. You know what's interesting to that point? I don't know if you saw one of the people on Twitter. They when the Ricochet news broke, they posted that picture of MJF, and they kind of cut an MJF promo as like on Twitter,
Yeah.
like copying his whole cadence, his flow, the things that he would say, the way that he would say it, his low hanging fruit jokes, like to a T. And it's funny, but then you're like, damn, if we can
we can do it.
yeah, if we can cut an MJF promo like some AI shit, you
Yeah.
know, like that's bad. Like, you know,
Yeah, it's not good.
yeah, that means it's starting to be a one-trick pony sort of crutch situation.
Yeah.
And that's not good. That's not good
Not
because
at all.
MJF is one of the best on the mic, but if you only got one mode of operation, people are going to get bored very quickly.
And they're starting to.
Yeah, they're starting to. So he's got to switch it up. You gotta stop mentioning outside companies. Maybe New Japan's okay because they're working with New Japan currently.
Yeah.
Like the vague jokes and stuff, it just doesn't work. The low hanging fruit jokes. I mean, maybe that's the point, but what is
Yeah.
like, when you do bad guy stuff like that, and it's like, okay, well, that's the point. Like you hit Jericho levels of, yeah, but that shit is stupid. I don't like it, even if it's
Yeah.
the point. It's just not good. Like, you know, so like you don't want him to get into that territory. So I'd love him to like change his game up a little. You know, maybe stop doing so much of the yelling and the hey buddy, like, you know,
Yeah.
he does like the you ever see the movies where they have the attractive looking guy, the frat guy, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, buddy," but he's really a dickhead.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing that too much, you know?
Yeah. It's just when you pretty much can almost verbatim, or not, maybe not verbatim, but pretty accurately say what I'm just gonna say in a promo. Not a good sign.
Yeah, no, that promo that Twitter user tweeted out was like, if you closed your, like, if you read it, you're hearing MJF's voice. I mean,
Yeah.
MJF even tweeted, he was like, he bookmarked the tweet because
Of course.
yeah, because I mean, it was the freakiest thing. But again, fans shouldn't be able to do that. Like, you know, like
No, you should want to tune in because you don't know what they're gonna say. Not
right.
okay. I guess we're gonna tune in because we'll just hear the same thing we heard last week and the week before that and the week before that
Yep,
and then the week before that.
excellent point.
So I would have to agree. His promos, we were hoping there was a chance that he would have worked on them, and clearly he has not.
Yeah,
So that's a
definitely
shame.
not.
Unfortunately. What, in our opinion, or who, in our opinion, has been the biggest waste of a talent for both male and female in each promotion? So WWE and AEW.
Ooh, I'm gonna let you go first.
No, of course you would. Oh God. Mm. Worst part is there could be quite a few. I feel like, okay, I don't want to lump them into male or female because I don't think they identify as either, but I think Abaddon, they're really wasting them right now, and I hate it because there's so many things you could do.
Yeah.
You could do like the spooky, you could do the possibly supernatural, you could just add some spice to some of these storylines in the women's division, and they're just not there, and I don't understand why, because clearly they've been putting in the work. If you
Right.
look at their Twitter, they look great. Why are they not on TV?
Yeah.
Problem is, you could also say that about Nyla Rose too. You could also say that about, oh God, who else? I mean, Red Velvet's not bad, but it's just I feel like AEW's kind of falling into that trap a little bit of we're going to show the same 6 women every week.
Yeah.
And it's not great. So
Yeah.
I feel like Abaddon's at least one in AEW and another one. See, and it's so tough because waste of talent can mean
Mm,
is a very ambiguous term
right.
because you could say someone's a waste of talent because they're not being utilized properly. You could say they're a waste of talent because they're not even being used, period.
Mhm. Yeah, it's kind of it's a very subjective term, in terms of
Yeah.
who's being weighed. And then you look at the flip side in terms of WWE, kind of to my point earlier, yeah, there's probably people you could put on TV that deserve some TV time, but like there's a lot more people, a lot more different people that's been getting TV time that usually wouldn't get TV time in the past. So
Yeah.
it's like do we just wait, like you said, to your earlier point, be patient, and just wait and see what happens? Patience is not really a thing for wrestling fans.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I guess the one off the top of my head for AEW is Ricky Starks
Mm,
because the guy's just too charismatic and too good in the ring to
yeah,
just not be on TV at all. And
yeah.
even when he was, I didn't care that he was with Big Cass, like, or like whatever, because it's just like
To me, like Ricky Starks made Big Cass more interesting, Big Bill or whatever you want to call him.
yeah,
He made Big Bill more interesting than Jericho. And I know people are like, well, you
yeah,
you just hate Jericho, but I mean, like, he
it's the
was actually
truth.
kind of cool. Like the coolness factor of Ricky Starks was rubbing off on Big Bill. And you're,
Yeah,
you're like, oh, look at this big bastard wrestling in Tim's. Like, that's just
yeah,
insane. Like,
literally.
yeah, like that's so New York and so like so outrageous that he's wrestling in Tim's. Like, so like a little bit of that cool factor rubbed off on Ricky. I don't know why they stopped, you know?
I don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't
I
know.
have no idea what's going on with that, honestly. But Ricky is definitely the biggest,
Yeah.
one of the biggest wastes of talent they have right now.
Yeah, I would go with Ricky as well. Nyla Rose is one to me because I don't think I've ever seen a I didn't watch a lot of Dark and Elevation or anything like that,
Mhm.
but like when Nyla Rose's feud with Riho
Yeah,
was just really, 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 really good.
yeah.
And what's the status of Rio? Like I don't,
No one knows.
yeah, no, I don't really know because like,
Hikaru Shida,
yeah,
like,
Hikaru Shida's in Japan, so I think maybe she's doing stuff in Japan for now for a little bit. Rio, as far as I know, because she constantly pops up on Kenny Omega's stream.
yeah,
So I didn't know they had a thing going, but good for them. But like I'm assuming she's wherever Kenny Omega is, whether it be Canada or in the States. I don't know what Kenny's situation is, but like, is she injured or
yeah,
what's going on? I mean, I feel like I don't want to be that guy to be like, oh, we should have this information and we should know
yeah,
about this. But like if a person is injured, rather than be like this person's not being used, where are they? What's going on? What's wrong with Tony Khan? Just disclose as soon as that person ends up on the shelf or something, like they're out with an undisclosed injury,
yeah,
something like that.
something.
Yeah, something like that. So I don't that could play a factor for me on the AEW side is definitely Ricky Starks, Nyla Rose, sprinkle in maybe some Riho. I think it's I'm kind of wishy washy on like what they're doing with Deonna Purrazzo after she didn't win
Yeah,
the match.
yeah,
Yeah, over on the WWE side,
can be a little tougher.
it is tougher. Again, this is not trying to be biased or tribalistic. It's just in terms of again trying their best to use the entirety of their roster. WWE is just doing a better job than what they've done before and what
Yeah,
AEW is doing. I mean,
he's
maybe
just
Andrade, like you're like,
yeah, because he's got the Twitter belt
yeah,
now.
he's got the Twitter belt. And like what people don't understand about the Twitter belt is Twitter paid for that belt to stay on Twitter. Twitter doesn't want to see that belt on Raw. They don't want to
Yeah,
see that belt on SmackDown. You know where they want to see that belt? They want to see it on Twitter for a maximum of 3 minutes, and that's
yeah.
it. Like,
It's so weird. It
it
is so
is
weird.
it is weird. I guess Twitter Elon threw them a lot of money, apparently, to what people say. So
What
hey,
else is new?
yeah, money talks. But Andrade, for me, on
Yeah,
the
the women.
women's side,
Ugh, it's gonna be tougher.
ooh,
because I can't say, like, again, it kind of goes back to the, okay, well, maybe Shayna's not winning, but she's still on TV. She has a
Right.
magic latch to the castle. Dakota, she's still being involved with damage control. So it's like, you can't really say. I was honestly 2 months ago, I would have said Mia Yim,
But
but
she
now
was just
she's being used.
yeah, she was just in the ladder match. Hmm.
I feel
Ooh.
like, I
You
feel
can't
like
even say like the unholy union because
they're being
they're
used.
being
I
used.
mean, I could say slightly, maybe with like an asterisk or a question mark next to it, but Zelina Vega, because she can wrestle.
Yeah, that's
And I feel like sometimes she's just kind of relegated to the LWO's like cheerleader,
right, right,
and she's
right.
much more than that.
But then you look at the situation that happened last night, and then
Yeah.
you look at like they can't just rely on Liv Morgan stalking Dominic in the Judgment Day because a match is not going to happen there
Yeah.
until Rhea comes back. But then you look
Yeah.
at the situation that happened last night on Raw, where Liv did that thing to Dominic that was
The
just
thing.
the thing, the the
Yeah.
the thing that was like if there was a line that you don't want to cross, they were
Mm-hmm.
literally right there
Oh, right there.
on the line. Because if you look at that clip that I posted up on TikTok, it happened, and you're like, okay, that's bad, but that happens in wrestling. Why is she
Yeah.
leaning back and wrapping her hands around his throat? And like,
Yeah.
for some men, that's like a trigger. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
your brain instantly goes dummy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so, but again, Zelina Vega broke up that situation, so that may lead to a Zelina Vega Liv Morgan interaction of feud. Because again, the
They
money,
want it too.
yeah, the money feud is the Rhea Ripley, but we can't use Rhea
Yeah.
Ripley. She's not here. You
Ah,
know,
don't stop reminding me, please.
yeah, but again, but Liv's the champion. She has to be a
Yeah.
champion and showcase the belt. Why not? I feel like that's how they set that up to be
Yeah.
like, well, Zelina put the bricks to her, like started beating her down.
Yeah.
Liv's got to get her lick back, So it's just
Oh, and she will.
oh shit. But yeah, but again, it's like you look at WWE and you're like, okay, that person being used, and you're like, shit, they kind of are. So
Literally.
yeah, in terms of this question, you're like, damn, they are being used. What about this person? I mean, you look at Caden Carter, Katana Chance coming to
Yeah.
the aid of Lyra Valkyria. You wouldn't have guessed that, and you're like, okay, they're not being used. I mean, look at
Yeah.
how elevated. I know Clash is in Scotland, but like even before Scotland, like Piper Niven was starting to get a little
Yeah.
spotlight, a little
And
rub.
Chelsea.
Yeah, with Chelsea and made Chelsea better. Like so it's like, damn, they really are trying their best to kind of spread everybody out and give some people some screen time. So at WWE, in terms of that question, it's just too hard.
It's too difficult, but
Yeah,
we manage. We pick
yeah.
some people,
Watch
but
after we stop recording, it's gonna come to me.
you probably, and you're gonna be like, "Wait a minute, I meant this person."
Yeah.
Eh, saying that was just trying to make me sad. She misses DMD and Danhausen. You and me both.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's just
I still can't get over the fact that AEW just let Danhausen go. Like, how, that was so dumb. We talked about it last week, but
yeah.
it's still stupid to me. And yeah, Britt,
It,
I don't know. I'm holding out hope that whenever they come back to Pittsburgh, that's when she comes back, because then she'll get like the hometown reaction.
right. Yeah,
That's all I got.
I guess her injury must be super, super bad.
Yeah, I
And
guess.
like you said, with the Danhausen situation, with the AEW not working out, and then he had some personal stuff with his wife,
Yeah.
and they had personal tragedy happen to the both of them. It's just like the guy for a couple months was just like, damn, dude, like stop beating the dude down, like because
Yeah.
he's all intent and purposes, everything I've seen about Danhausen the person, he's a really nice person, and you don't want
Yes.
you don't want bad things to happen to good people.
Yeah.
So yeah, but again, like this is one of those things where like wrestling is in a weird place where if it doesn't work out somewhere, it can work somewhere else.
Yeah. There's options.
Yeah, there's options. So again, I think Danhausen, even before AEW, like Danhausen's a perfect fit for WWE, and WWE is not going to do what McMahon did to R-Truth, where unfortunately R-Truth is like pigeonholed into a character that he's never ever going to escape from, and Triple H is doing his best to at least make him look like a competent performer inside of the ring. The current landscape of WWE can take someone like Danhausen, take his gimmick, his character, his shtick, and just put it on a grander stage, and it works.
And use the very evil part too, not just the very nice.
Yeah,
Like,
it's marketable. It has humor that you can turn into something kind of spooky, kind of dark. It's multifaceted. It's
merchandise.
merchandise would go crazy. But like they start selling the Danhausen mask and Danhausen t-shirts and all that stuff, or and like Halloween costumes when the time comes. It's crazy. I just think the Danhausen character, it would be a perfect fit for WWE, and not just because WWE's the big game in town. It's just the character of Danhausen feels like a character that WWE would create.
Yeah, I completely agree. So hopefully we manifested that one.
Yeah.
And hopefully I, like I said, manifest the hopefully at some point this year when AEW comes back to Pittsburgh, that's when they're saving Britt to come back. Because that's pretty much all my boss and I got. We've talked about it before. We're just like, at this rate, maybe they're just waiting for get like the hometown return or something.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many more times I can be like, all right, this is the pay-per-view. I'm gonna fantasy book it. This is how it's gonna happen, and then it doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
someday Britt will come back, hopefully. And Mom's last comment was just to tell you to keep up the great work with all the content online.
Oh, nice, awesome.
Yeah, see, you got a shout out.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wow, that's really nice to hear. Because
you have been working hard. I see it all the time when I'm at lunch at work or I'm on break and I'm bored out of my mind. I can at least chuckle at the clips and all the stuff you got going on. So
yeah, because I mean that's my whole thing and my whole goal with what we do here with the podcast and the stuff that I post online is like I want to change the perception of pro wrestling from the perspective of a fan. I feel like we've gotten away from being a fan because like everything is like got to get clicks, got to get retweets, got to get likes, all that stuff. So, and the easiest way to do that is to criticize and be negative. What happened to like spreading the reason we love watching this? You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's not enough people talking about why they love professional wrestling. They talk about why they hate it, and that's just not me. It's like, I'm using this because I have goals, and I'm sure you have goals with it as well, to do stuff within wrestling because I don't know. My motto is I don't know shit about fuck. But like when it comes to professional wrestling, I can confidently say that's the one thing I kind of know what I'm talking about. We both kind of know what we're talking about with this pro wrestling thing. But again, my goal is to, instead of being negative and trying to get my views and my way through the wrestling door through being negative, I try to put a positive spin and try to be critical. But people take being critical about like stuff like professional wrestling, they almost take it as like they try to attack the person.
Yeah.
What we
make it personal.
Yeah, what we do here on this podcast, we could critique things and we voice what we don't like, but we also give options that we think would be better from the perspective as a fan. We both do that. I feel like a lot of people who are bigger online, that have a bigger presence, they like to voice what they hate, but it's like, okay, what would you do to make it better?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, show your expertise there. Show your passion for professional wrestling there. Tell me how you can make it better. Let me see your creative ideas.
Exactly, not just complaining all the time.
Right, exactly. Like, show off your creativity, and then maybe, you never know, because here's the thing that I'm learning is that you may think if you tweet a professional wrestler from like AEW, WWE, or you tweet AEW or WWE directly, you may make a tweet and think, oh, well, they're not going to see it.
No, they do.
I'm learning that they see everything.
Just because they don't respond doesn't mean they don't see it.
Right. They're kind of like NSA Big Brother type stuff. They see everything. So it's like you want to walk that fine line, because I'm not gonna lie, my biggest dream is to work in professional wrestling. I don't care if it's, a company, I don't care if it's AEW, WWE, that's always been the dream. But I'm also working to say, hey, if that doesn't work, I can still make my footing. You and I, because I always try to include you as well, because you put in as much work as I do. You have just as big as voice as I do. This is a partnership 50-50. It'll always be that way. If anything happens, I'm taking you along, or I'm not going.
Yeah, right. Yeah. One of us is we're dragging the other along. Yeah, we're by the feet.
You got to take both of us. We're a package deal, or you get none of us. That's just the way I operate. So it's just like, it's just, I don't know. But again, thank you for that comment, because that's a sort of deal. When you're doing this stuff and you're putting all this content together, you just kind of wish like somebody would see it, enjoy it, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's tough, because like, for example, I had a bunch of pieces of content for Battleground and I uploaded it to YouTube, and WWC said nah.
They said no.
Yeah, they wiped it all, and it's like, damn it, like, how do these other people get it and I don't? But you don't want to go down that route. It's just it's a part of the grind. But again, thank you to your mom. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's true. Sometimes you need those pats on the back to know you're doing a good job. Yeah, but you are.
I thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem. All right, so that was all of Mom's stuff. So thank you, as always.
Thank you, Mom.
Then let's move on to Mike's questions. So this is a good one. How would we book Hangman Page's return? Would we do several vignettes? Would we put him at the end of a pay-per-view? Would we surprise run him in on a match or something else? I think like it just has to be like a sudden, like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because I know that's a good thing that a thing that AEW is really good at is they don't let the big surprises or anything out too early. There's no like, there may be like some speculation, but it's not like WWE where it's almost just like the rumor might as well just be the truth. They're very tight-lipped when it comes to stuff like this. So I would just like them to just flat out just surprise, bring him back randomly, whether it be a pay-per-view or something. But because the vignettes can work really well, but I don't think for somebody like him, you don't need it.
And a surprise would have a bigger impact. I would love him to be the guy. We had the Anarchy in the Arena, and it didn't work out well for the good guys.
No.
Team Elite still ended up winning. So I feel like you bring in Hangman Page as the guy. He can be like Sting versus the NWO. Like Hangman Page can be the guy to be like, I'm standing up for AEW and I'm taking you out individually, one by one,
Yeah, and then turns his eyes back to Swerve because there's still some unfinished business.
Exactly,
so.
Like you get it, like because that's the thing with Tony Khan. Like you said, they do good stuff like that, but Tony Khan kind of jumps the gun and goes for the big match almost too soon. Like, like you look at the Ospreay Swerve situation. Of course, everybody wants to see that match, but you realize, do we need that match right now?
No.
We don't. It's almost.
No, we don't.
It's like Jade Cargill and Bianca. Of course, we want to see that match, but do we need that match right now? No. We can make a story out of it, and it'll become a big deal. So I just hope Tony doesn't fall into that trap of bringing Hangman back and then having him go against Swerve for the title because it's a big match. I would much rather see Hangman come out because the Elite is, gallivanting and, gloating that nobody can take them out. They've taken out Kenny Omega, Tony Khan, all the guys in the Anarchy in the Arena, and then Hangman's music hits. Boom, it's like, oh, this is the guy, like this is the guy.
Exactly.
He's like the perfect guy to be like, because it really talks to the makeup of who Hangman is as a person. He stands up for what's right. He has no problem standing up for the lesser man and things like that. It really says to who he is. It's just perfect in my opinion.
Exactly. It's the most relatable guy on the roster
He
besides Eddie.
yeah, he really is actually. That would actually be a dope tag team.
Oh God, could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Yeah, that would actually be a cool tag team.
Unfortunately, we'll have to wait till next year for
Oh
that
man,
one,
I
but
know, but damn, you
it'd
actually
be fun.
you put that in my head.
Yeah, see, all right, Tony Khan, you know what to do.
Yeah.
We know you listen to this. All right, so TNA just had their 20th anniversary show. What's a favorite moment of Bard's from TNA?
Oh wow, favorite moment from TNA.
Oh boy.
I gotta go with Jay Lethal and Ric Flair's woo off.
Oh God, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that was a classic.
the woo off. Kurt Angle's debut. AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels is probably the greatest TNA match in TNA history.
Mhm.
Um, the woo off, like
Yeah,
I was howling at the woo off for like an entire week. Like
yeah,
I was sending it to all my friends. I was like posting it on Facebook. Like it was just that to me was like, okay, they got it right. Damn, but like it's just like some of the bad moments are so bad that they're like you have to acknowledge them as like, okay, the greatness of TNA is that they were able to make it out of that. And a good example is that they had the big thing August 1st. And like I might have triggered some PTSD for TNA fans when I said August 1st, but like they made a big deal. People were kind of like, all right, this is TNA, but maybe they got something. Maybe they got us Kurt Angle once I'm Christian Cage, all these guys, maybe they got something. And it ended up being Tito Ortiz.
yeah,
And everybody was
yeah.
like, what the fuck is this? You know?
See, the thing I always remember is that era of TNA when they were pretty much trying to rip off WWE like characters, but they kind of like with their own spin. Like when Shark Boy was like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah,
Yeah.
that era of TNA when Jay Lethal was Black Machismo, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, those were the days.
Those are the
So,
days, but it's like it speaks to TNA's character that they were able to get themselves out of the muck. And like
yeah,
the highest thing is like now they're collaborating with WWE.
yeah,
You know?
exactly. Who would have just never would have happened
they're
back in the day.
they're collaborating with WWE, and they've done so because they like as of late from the time they became Impact Wrestling and up to now, they ceased the idea of they have to even acknowledge WWE's existence.
Yeah,
They knew that they had to do what's best for TNA and just focused on TNA.
yeah,
Imagine if another company did that. Maybe
yeah,
we'd be talking about the collaboration that everybody really wants, but we're never gonna get. You know, like
yeah, literally.
but again, again, to my point, like they've had all these moments that honestly become iconic moments. I mean, you look at Kurt Angle's debut, nobody saw. You look at like Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle, you know, the whole like Samoa Joe rising and the headbutts, and like they had their iconic
Yeah,
moments. They had a lot of like, what the hell is happening moments. But again, TNA 20 years is no slouch, you know? So,
yeah, most of my existence.
yeah,
So
yeah. So
it's crazy.
shout out to TNA, man. They've definitely given us some great wrestlers. And they continue to do so. And now we're gonna get to see how the collaboration with WWE works out.
Yeah, and I'm definitely looking forward to more of it
Yes.
because it's been pretty good so far.
Oh yeah.
Thoughts on Camille's deleted tweet?
Mm.
Ooh, yeah, I'd like to know myself what the hell's going on. If even she's just like, yeah, well, because, okay, for people that didn't know, I had to look it up myself because I wasn't sure. So apparently, somebody had tweeted her, like, are we gonna have to wait another, like, 830 whatever days to see you in a ring again? And she's like, I'm starting to think that might be the case.
Yeah.
And then she deleted it. So I'm like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, because that's a reference to her title reign with
Mhm.
NWA that was kind of historic. I, my guess is she tweeted that in anger.
Yeah.
But I'm just guessing. I don't know hers, but I feel like I don't want to be that guy. But it's like I wonder if she's sitting there going, maybe I made a mistake.
Maybe I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah, like maybe I should have went somewhere else. You
Yeah.
know, but I hope that she's not a victim of one of AEW's glaring problems is that they have such a bloated roster,
Mhm.
that they don't know what to do with them. And again, as I constantly bring up with the situation with AEW is that money is no problem when it comes to AEW.
No.
So they can it's not a situation where like, well, how can they pay for everybody on the roster? They could easily pay for everybody on the roster.
Yeah,
Um
that's not the
yeah,
problem.
the problem is nobody's getting TV time. Um
Nope. It's
T
not like WWE.
Right, it's like, cause like, they could easily follow the pattern of, like, they had a bona fide wrestler, Deonna Purrazzo, then they went to
Mhm.
another bona fide wrestler in Serena Deeb, and then Camille is another bona fide she's like a wrestler,
Yeah.
so they could have continued that pattern, and then maybe, like, you could have had a cool stable out of it, you know?
She could have been Mercedes' like bodyguard, like we talked about before, and
That
like,
would have been dope too, because like her little is Camille Brickhouse, and she's literally
yeah,
built like a freaking brick house. Like,
yeah, she's insane.
yeah. So like, maybe it was a moment of frustration that like she had that
Mm,
response. It could be in wrestling, you never know. So
no,
you look at that and like go, okay, maybe they'll build with that. You know,
maybe that
yeah,
would be
yeah.
nice. Like
It's like, but something. We need
anything.
something. Maybe she's the answer to that. Who's the most underutilized talent that
Yeah, maybe she's not being used at all.
she's not. Yeah, she's not being used at all. So she's clearly up on that list. So yeah,
Yeah,
but she can really elevate the quality of wrestling for any promotion. So it's like, why are we not using her?
yeah. Unfortunately, you can say that about a lot of women on the AEW roster, but
Yeah.
that's a rant for another day. So conflicting reports on Ricochet. Where does he land?
Mm,
Honestly, I'm just gonna say it. I hope not AEW, literally for the reasons we just mentioned.
yeah.
Of I don't know where he's gonna fit in. I hate to say it because I know Jack has a question about it, and I know he actually brought it up, but I'm gonna steal his answer and be like, New Japan would be fun.
Yes. Yes.
That would be great for him.
Yes, New Japan would be great because he can showcase and the thing is like it's not even like in WWE he wasn't able to showcase what makes Ricochet Ricochet. Like
Yeah.
if you recall, I tweeted yesterday, you know, in the short time that Ricochet was in WWE from NXT till now, he did so many things that like were memorable from his Royal Rumble spot with Logan Paul where they had that big moment there. You look at
Yeah.
when they were in the Thunderdome and he had that big crossbody onto Morrison where he wiped Morrison out and they were like and then everybody's like, okay, maybe the Thunderdome is cool. Like, like
Yeah.
and the North American title ladder match from NXT Takeover.
Yeah.
The countless 630s which we've never seen in WWE before. When he finally broke out the 630 and just blew everybody's mind. When he did the flip over spot to Velveteen Dream where he flipped out of the ring.
Yeah.
Like this dude did some stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
maybe he was the guy that you're like, man, you kind of wish that they did use him more. In terms of where he's gonna land, New Japan would be a great spot, but so would TNA. TNA would be
Yeah.
man, he could have bangers with Mustafa Ali, Chris Bay, Ace Austin, Josh Alexander.
Yeah.
There's Rich Swann is there. Like they have chemistry. If he goes to AEW, Tony Khan again. He's gonna shoot the gun way too early. We're gonna get Will Ospreay Ricochet right
Oh
off the
god,
bat.
don't need to.
It's like it's
Oh,
literally what I was saying to my friend yesterday. It's like that's what Tony Khan does, and like I don't
yeah.
usually agree with Bully Ray's takes about professional wrestling currently,
Mhm.
but he did bring up a good point. He said Tony Khan is a great matchmaker. He's not a great booker.
Yes.
There's a stark difference between a booker and a matchmaker. A matchmaker just takes this guy who's really, really good. He could probably have a really, really good match with this really, really good wrestler, so everything's great. A booker takes two really, really good wrestlers and say, how can we build up a dramatic story that's going to make people want to see this match?
Exactly.
Like we want to see this match. Of course, we want to see Ricochet and Will Ospreay do what they did, like they did back in 2016. Sure, we want to see that, but how do we get to that point? Just putting them there and say, go do it, that's fine and dandy. But imagine if we can work something out to where even the people that didn't want to see it say, okay, that's actually pretty interesting. I'll watch that. I'll buy a ticket for that.
Yeah.
And then you make money. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So again, for me, New Japan be a great spot. I'd really love to see him in TNA. That would actually probably make me want to spend some money on the TNA product so that way I could watch it, and that's the ultimate goal. But again, the one thing is like, we can be sad that Ricochet is leaving WWE, but that doesn't mean we have to stop supporting Ricochet.
Exactly.
He's gonna go somewhere else and we can watch him there. And it's just, and I'm pretty sure Ricochet is the type of guy that, he didn't burn a bridge with WWE. The door is always open. And then he can come back and, once he's put some serious stock in his name to where he cannot be denied, much like Cody Rhodes, much like Drew McIntyre, maybe Ricochet's the next in line to be that guy to say, okay, you don't think I'm worth anything right now to give me a bigger spot? I'll go get a bigger spot somewhere else, blow the roof off the joint to where now you're going to need me to come back and I'm going to need some more money.
Exactly.
That's how this works. This is a business, okay? This is a business. I understand everybody's got favorites and they want to see things happen, but this is a business. And to WWE, even though they got billions and billions of it, it's a matter of dollars and cents.
Exactly. Which, it's what we always say. It's like sometimes you got to take the personal feelings out of it. It's just, business is a business.
Yeah.
All right. So Meltzer was saying WWE was providing fake fast national ratings. Is Dave telling the truth, or is Dave bitter for not having insiders in WWE? Dave being bitter really wouldn't really shock me. He's very petty when it comes to certain things, specifically for whatever reason, giving the women shit star ratings on matches for whatever reason. Well, I mean, we know why, because Nia trashed him once, and clearly he had a vendetta against her. So now he just rates all her matches as shit, even when they're not. So
he's gonna do what I do to Jericho.
Pretty much, yeah. Except you actually have a reason. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's because he's bitter because he doesn't have any insiders. Because Dave can be very like wishy-washy sometimes.
Right.
So it's almost like if he tries to report something and ends up not being true, he'll find a way to blame somebody for it. Where it's like, well, it wasn't my fault. It was this. It was this. Or he'll try to spin it as that was what he knew all along.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, Dave does this thing where now everything that comes out, he makes sure to cover his own ass. Like he'll code it in a certain way that's like, this could happen, this may be not happening, I don't know. Exactly. So if it happens, he'd be like, I told you. And if it doesn't happen, he said, I said it was a possibility, I never said it was 100%. Like he's very cover my ass type of wrestling journalism. I kind of wish he would take the approach of like Mike Johnson from PW Insider, which is like, WWE can love my work or hate my work. I don't give a shit. My job is to report on what's going on. Like that whole situation about when Triple H said that thing at the press conference about, wrestling media and things like that. Everybody, was up in arms. Oh my God. You saying Mike Johnson was like, I don't really give a shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, they can like me, they can hate me. That's not my responsibility. I just do what I do. That would be my approach to it. But again, I'm not Dave Meltzer. I don't know what his scoop situation is in terms of insiders. It's tough because there used to be only one big dog in the game, and that was Dave Meltzer. But now there's
Yeah.
Sean Ross Sapp, and Sean Ross Sapp doesn't own Fightful, but he's basically the face of Fightful, and he's built kind of a conglomerate of other people. And then there's those really weird like anonymous Twitter accounts
Yeah.
that and you see it a lot on Reddit too. Reddit, it'll pop up sometimes where they're like these anonymous, really secretive accounts, and they drop some insider stuff that's gonna happen, and it happens, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" Like, and they instantly hang on to every word that account says. It's happened. It exists. It's a thing. So I feel like Meltzer maybe feels the heat because he's been doing this since like 1970 something, you know,
Yeah.
back when he and Bill Apter were probably the only ones doing it. Um, and now everybody's doing it. Everybody's trying to get a insider from WWE and AEW. Everybody wants the scoops to the point that they're like, fuck it, we'll just make something up, print it, and people will go crazy. We'll get the clicks, we'll get the hits, all that stuff. So wrestling journalism, wrestling media is just so crazy right now. That's why I'm so glad, like, when I initially started in 2013 to get into this stuff, I quickly learned that trying to be an insider, trying to get scooped, that just wasn't me. I don't like it.
No, it just sometimes comes across as just scummy, I guess.
Yeah, it's just like, why should I be privy to this information? Because
Yeah.
if I'm sitting there professing that I'm just a fan of professional wrestling, which I am, I should just be a fucking fan. Like, like
Yeah.
I should
Yeah.
just watch the show and then talk about what I see. I shouldn't have to want to shoehorn my way back behind the curtain and try to rub up on the boys and girls of professional wrestling. That's just, like you said, it kind of feels scummy, like,
Yeah.
I want them to be like, hey, this guy's a fan, he's actually really passionate about this stuff. Sometimes he has good ideas and he says interesting stuff, but he's just a fan, and I'm okay,
Yeah.
and I'm
You want
okay.
to have the good impression.
Right, exactly. I'm not in the business of trying to disrespect these people.
Yeah.
Except
Exactly.
except Chris Jericho. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, that's then there's exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, Disco Inferno.
Yeah. I mean, Val Venus at this point,
Now,
he can
we
choke.
should just make an episode about everyone that we hate in wrestling.
we might be there for quite a while.
We
That might be
might
like a
be.
3-part series. 4-part series,
We
maybe.
should just do an episode of one person and just like
Literally.
make that a series of just like,
Oh my
why
God.
we dislike this person.
Why we hate insert name here.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe another idea.
There you
Never
go.
know.
Oh man, I'm a
God.
content making machine.
Yeah, see, you're on this. You're on the ball. All right. So name 2 wrestlers we had high hopes for when they started feuding, but the ring chemistry just didn't work. Mike remembers your high hopes for Wyatt and Ambrose, but it falling flat. But are there any others? I was trying to think of it as I was like reading over these. I think the one that came to my mind at least a little bit was Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt. Kind of the whole Fiend thing, where it's like you wanted it to go somewhere else, or you wanted it to take that extra step, or it just didn't. For just some reason or another, it just didn't work.
Yeah, but WWE Vince McMahon really bungled that. The Hell in a Cell match will probably go down as one of the worst finishes, at least in WWE history.
So like, it's just how he messed that up. I'll never understand, but
yeah, that's
I don't know.
I might go with another Ambrose one and say Ambrose and Brock Lesnar. That was kind of weird because you look at Ambrose, who loves to fight and loves to get his ass kicked and kick ass, and Brock Lesnar doesn't get his ass kicked, he just kicks ass. Like, it's almost a perfect concoction, a perfect recipe, and that shit just didn't get out of the gates. It didn't work out well. A lot of it probably had to do with like Ambrose's attitude, because he at that time he was just really weird. Like I
Yeah.
always look back at like the Stone Cold podcast that he did with Dean Ambrose, and I'm just like, what the hell was that? Like, what was that
Yeah.
about? Like to actively have Paul Heyman go out and say the reason it didn't work with Ambrose is because Ambrose fucked up. And you need an example? Look how he acted on that Stone Cold podcast. For Paul Heyman to do that,
Yeah.
Paul Heyman's a guy that stands up for the smaller guy and all that. For him to come out and say this guy screwed up, and he probably didn't want to acknowledge that he screwed up. That's the thing. So that would be my match.
Yeah.
You gotta go with the Usos at WrestleMania.
Oh God, don't even remind
Yeah,
me. Don't even
yeah.
remind me of that one. Oh.
I just think, but again, it was a situation with time. So
Yeah.
maybe I don't know. I think.
But even if they had to rush it, they have a style of wrestling that would have fit into. They just spent too
Yeah.
much time on the story and not so much on the in-ring action. They didn't
Right,
mesh it together.
yeah, that's a very good point. So it pains me just as much as it pains you. I'd probably go with Jimmy and Jey Uso. But
Yeah.
once Jimmy comes back and he reunites with his brother, everybody's just gonna lose their freaking mind. So
Yeah, we're gonna forget that even
yeah,
happened. I didn't see that much happen.
we're gonna Men in Black it.
Yeah, literally. I'm gonna have to for sure. Alrighty, was it a fail to not have Jordan Grace beat Roxanne Perez at Battleground, especially if the plans to continue the brand sharing? I mean, I think this is a rather simple one. I don't think so. Kind of going back to what Jeff was talking about, Mina Shirakawa and Tony Storm. I don't think anybody expected Jordan Grace to win it, so
Yeah.
I don't think it was a fail. I think it was pretty predictable. But they had a great match.
Yeah.
I think that was just kind of the whole point of it. I mean, granted, it kind of doesn't help when it's for a title, but it still was a test run of, okay, well, if we start blending in these NXT or WWE and TNA people, are they going to work?
Right.
I'd say that was a pretty good success.
Right. I mean, because I'm kind of crazy like that, I probably would have gave heavy consideration having Jordan win at Battleground, and then she has an open challenge at Against All Odds. So like have Roxanne answer the open challenge right there, and it's like no harm, no foul, even if it's predictable, because we got Jordan Grace in an NXT setting. Now we're getting Roxanne Perez in a TNA setting. So it kind of just works out. So I would have done it like for the shock value easily.
Yeah, it could work.
It easily would have flipped everything on its head and be like, holy shit, Jordan Grace just won a title for a promotion she doesn't even work for. That would have changed wrestling completely. Like it would open the mind of, okay, now all bets are off. But then you have Roxanne come back. She wins she wins back her title on another show that's not NXT. Again, there's the levels of that. Jordan Grace makes history winning a title she doesn't even work for. Like, she doesn't work for that company. Roxanne does the same thing going over there, but she wins back her title. It's almost like she's taking back what's hers, what's NXT's. Like, she's ipso facto standing up for NXT, even though she kind of doesn't want to, because she's kind of a mean little girl. Like, it's like,
that does make sense though.
Yeah, like, but it's like, I mean, but I'm enjoying the Roxanne character, and like that little bit that she had with CM Punk backstage after Battleground. It's got people in a tizzy, because it's like she even tweeted AJ Lee, and because AJ Lee was like, I had to reactivate my Twitter for this movie thing, and Roxanne tweeted her back and was like, Dad's mad at me because I called him a hypocrite. So it's like, it's like, are you really about to awaken the beast that is Mama AJ? Like,
I don't think I want to mess with that.
Yeah, I don't think you want to mess with, like, do you and I know Roxanne knows this, but do you, as a fan of wrestling, understand the craziness that AJ Lee had to do to get CM Punk to AJ Lee ran so Liv Morgan could walk. You know, like
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
you know,
Like,
that's the level of crazy AJ Lee was on when she was mixing in Daniel Bryan and CM
yeah,
Punk. She was on
Cena.
and Cena, she was on another level, bro. So
Mm,
it's like, do you really want AJ Lee to have to come and give you a beating for disrespecting your husband? You know,
You don't want that smoke.
yeah, you don't want that. I don't think you want that, dude. Like, it's just like,
No.
again, like NXT is just operating on a different level.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
So hopefully Roxanne stops talking if she
Yeah.
knows what's good for
Stop
her,
talking,
but
Roxanne.
stop. Shut up. Just shut up. Speaking of NXT, does Wesley get back together with the Rascals to fight Gallus?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Sean Ross Sapp already was like,
Yeah.
let me plant that little seedling. And as soon as I saw that, I was on stream and I went, huh, like, you
You're
know,
like, wait a minute.
I was like, hold up, wait a minute. Like, I mean, but it just fits because like
Yeah.
NXT is trying to almost feel like the counterculture of professional wrestling. Like,
Again,
they brought in Sexy Red, who's just like,
who got arrested before the show even started?
like, what are we doing here? Like, you know what I'm
Like, what is
saying?
happening?
Like, she gets arrested, she gets out, she runs in. Shawn Michaels is like, I need my Sexy Red because at this point, I feel like Shawn Michaels was the only guy that was like, no, we're bringing in this. Like, he was on Instagram scrolling, he saw a Sexy
Yeah,
Red video, and he was
literal.
like, whatever she is, we need to bring her into NXT because
He like sent her a message, was like, "Hey, you like
yeah,
wrestling?"
yeah, because Shawn Michaels loves him some Sexy Red, which is the craziest sentence that has ever came out of my mouth. You know, so it's just like,
What a time.
yeah, it's just like NXT for me is the counterculture of professional wrestling, and the Rascals. You know, when they used to do the treehouse gimmick, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, those are my guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
Yeah.
and I feel like NXT is not afraid to push that boundary, you know, where it's like, yeah, these are three guys that are really, really good professional wrestlers. And maybe they like to smoke a little marijuana on the side. Who gives a shit? Like
Yeah, who
we used
cares?
to have Matt Riddle here. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, you
no,
know, you
gone.
ever heard of a guy named Rob Van Dam? Like, you know, like
Yeah,
yeah.
really.
So yeah, it's just like the Rascals are a perfect group to bring in a counterculture. But and then again in an NXT setting, maybe this brings out the more serious side because I haven't seen what's going on in NXT today, but like the Gallus situation, I'm not too high on Gallus, but this will bring me into like being focused on what Gallus is all about, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win. And Mr. Sean Ross Sapp kind of planted that seed, so shout out to him because I was just like, this is great, I love it, everything is great, wrestling's cool.
And the end.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much on the same wavelength of that. Do the Creed brothers finally emerge to help Gable beat Sami Zayn? I mean, it would probably make the most sense.
Yeah, it would. I'm looking at the fact that like Chad Gable's like 0-5 trying to get the Intercontinental
Yeah,
Championship.
he's got to win it.
He's got it, but it would suck because like it's Sami Zayn, like,
Yeah.
you know, like I mean, he could go after it. Let's say Drew does win the World Heavyweight title. That would be an interesting story to have like Sami be his first challenger for
Yeah.
the world title. I would like to see that. Um, I'm just like, it does make a lot of sense because again, 0-5 plays a big thing. But it's like everything's gonna get overshadowed when Otis finally comes to his senses.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because like you could just feel it. Like, and this is a guy, Otis, they shouldn't be reacting the way they do for him.
No.
You know what I mean?
Not at all.
Like he's just like, it's such an endearing story. So it's like maybe they bring in the Creed brothers, Alpha Academy starts getting even more serious, and like Otis and everybody's just like, this, it's not for me. Like they kind of push him out almost. So he has to go up against all of the, the Creed brothers and then Chad Gable and stuff like that. Yeah, they seem kind of a fit for what Chad Gable wants to do. Maybe he sheds the dead weight that he considers Akira Tozawa, Maxine Dupree, and Otis to be. Like there's a lot of different ways you can go, but I do see the Creed brothers thing actually happening. And please do, so we can stop having Brutus try to be a YouTuber.
Oh, that clip. I'm just like, oh god.
Like it's just it's not even what he said, it's the way he said it. Like he was trying so hard to be a YouTuber. Like it was just like,
sir, please stick to your day job.
Yeah, you're really good at this wrestling thing. Let's do that, buddy.
Yeah, we'll hopefully stick with that, but you never know. All right, so that was all of Mike's questions. Thank you. Let us move on to our last few from Jack. All right, so some of these I'm already looking. We definitely have gotten through those, so may rapid fire some of these. What do we think will happen with the TNA WWE partnership? So far to him, it seems one-sided because NXT gets the hype and TNA doesn't crack the top 150 shows on cable TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a matter of time that somebody from WWE is going to have to go over to TNA. It would have been perfect in your world with the whole Jordan Grace thing. That would have been fantastic, but obviously not happening. But
I think maybe that's why they had Tatum Paxley. Initially, when she came out during Battleground, she had her eyes on the NXT Women's Championship, but she ended up switching her focus and trying to steal the TNA women's the TNA Knockouts Championship. So like I said earlier, Jordan Grace has that open challenge at Against All Odds. So I could see Tatum Paxley kind of sliding in there. And again, I don't think, if this was Vince McMahon, of course he would have did it to where all of WWE people beat TNA people because he's like, I'm better than you. I don't think Triple H looks at it that way. In a business sense, to rattle the cages and to get people talking, you would need to do that. You would need to put a TNA person in a WWE setting, because in the WWE setting you're going to get that big grand reaction. Big reaction in the TNA setting, but it won't look as grand, and most of the big reaction will happen online, people that weren't there live to where you can physically see their reaction. And NXT, when Jordan Grace came out, the place went apeshit, and simultaneously social media went apeshit. So that's kind of what you want. That's how you catapult this thing to make it big. And so eventually, like you said, we'll see an integration of WWE people in TNA. This could be an opportunity to go back to one of the earlier questions about underutilized talent. Maybe Cedric Alexander going to TNA. Imagine Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali running back there in a TNA setting. That would go crazy. Again, Josh Alexander is one of the best professional wrestlers, not only in TNA, but in all of wrestling. So if you have a WWE guy go up against Josh Alexander in a WWE setting, or in a TNA setting, that'd be great. It's just, again, patience.
Yeah, sometimes we don't have that, unfortunately, which I get, but yeah, I think it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give it a little bit. Like I said, I think Battleground was just like the test.
Oh yeah, it's the tip of the iceberg, and it's all gonna culminate with Joe Hendry making his appearance in WWE, and that's gonna be the big payoff. Is we're gonna be able to hear Joe Hendry's song on a WWE setting, and your mom's gonna love it.
I think she better, or else we're gonna have words. But she'll get over it. Maybe not. Who knows? All right. So we did kind of talk about this. Where do we think Ricochet goes? Where do we want him to go? Jack was the one that originally said he wants them to go to New Japan to be the top guy in their rebuild. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. That's really him. They're TNA, just not AEW.
Yeah, it's just you don't want to be kind of mean to AEW. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just like, you guys, like, I have a hard time believing that Ricochet would want to go to a place where he's going from performing in front of, 15 to 16,000 people in an arena to the same arena settings, but they can only get 3,000 people. Okay, that's
Yeah.
nor here or there. I have a hard time believing that a Will Ospreay tweet was the catalyst for Ricochet making a career jump.
Yeah.
That just doesn't seem that, I don't know, maybe it's me and it's just like that doesn't seem like a responsible way to do your
No,
business. You know,
I don't think
yeah,
so.
that just doesn't seem, so I don't think a Will Ospreay tweet is what jump started that. Maybe Will knew something that we didn't know. Maybe Ricochet texted him and was like, I'm getting out of here. I'm coming to beat your ass. And then like,
Yeah.
Will just like ran with it. I don't know, but again, like I said, I'm a fan of Ricochet, so no matter where Ricochet goes, I'm gonna try to do my best to support him and elevate him as a fan. I'm just glad that he's gonna be wrestling. I just hope he doesn't end up going through another windshield.
Let's hope
Yeah,
not. He's been through enough
yeah,
lately.
he's getting through enough. That made Samantha Irvin cry. That should be the reason Braun Breaker gets destroyed. That's the thing.
You made somebody look.
Yeah, you made Samantha cry.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, like we talked about Meltzer earlier. The one thing Meltzer said that kind of tickled my brain was, if Ricochet was leaving, and I'm paraphrasing what Meltzer said, if
Yeah.
Ricochet was leaving, why would they put him in an angle like he gets destroyed, but it's almost like, damn, the money's there to where you want to see Ricochet get back and get his revenge. You know, I
Yeah.
feel like, and this is me now. I feel like the money is there for Ricochet to get his revenge. Yeah, there's money in Ricochet and Will Ospreay, but
Yeah.
again, the potential to make the most money is where the storyline is, rather than the quality of the match. We know Meltzer's going to see the match. He's going to give it 7-8 million stars.
Yeah.
I'll probably go crazy over it myself,
Yeah.
because it's Will Ospreay. But again, I'm just thinking, like, as a fan, you know, Ricochet's the type of guy you want to see on that big scale in a big arena with fans going crazy, and he comes out with the lasers and the lights and the smoke, and he does the flips, and the whole entire crowd is going crazy. And it just so happens that his fiance is literally the best ring announcer in all of professional wrestling right now.
Yeah.
And Braun Breaker made her cry. Are we
Yeah.
not understanding that? Braun
We,
Breaker made her cry,
which is
Yeah,
rude.
it's very rude, and I
We're
don't like
that
it.
happened.
I don't like it,
We don't like
we
it.
don't like it. You don't do that to Samantha Urban. She is a national
No.
treasure. You don't make her cry. So
Protect her at all
right,
costs.
so Ricochet is gonna have to come back. He's gonna have to drive an ambulance into the arena, hop out of the ambulance, sets up an ambulance match between Ricochet and Braun Breaker. Triple H, call me up.
Yeah, see, there we go. It's settled.
Yeah, there you go.
We're done.
We're done here. So
Well, while we have Triple H on the line, Jack is he has a bit of a gripe with Triple H.
Uh-oh.
So to Jack, it feels like Triple H is relying too much on the hometown pop instead of building up the Scots for Clash at the Castle.
Mm-hmm.
We knew this premium live event was happening for a while. We could have built them up better.
Yeah.
Unholy Union haven't won a match since May of last year, and Piper's been Chelsea's secondary for a while. They did the same thing with Zelina last year in Puerto Rico, as well as Indy and Canada's getting a title shot in Australia. It seems the lazy storytelling is reserved for the women's division because they aren't doing this type of booking with Drew. Triple H is lucky that WWE is the hot ticket right now.
He brought up a lot of good points.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
But then my thing is, too, I did notice, though, when it came to Drew and Damian, they kind of already set this up where, okay, well, Judgment Day is not allowed at ringside, so does that mean Finn comes out and costs Damian the title to fully just destroy Judgment Day, or does that set up what we've been hoping is going to happen when Punk comes out and costs Damian or Drew? So it's like it could happen, but yeah, it kind of does seem like he's kind of trying to make up for past sins where it's like, all right, you guys are gonna get your hometown like moment. Don't worry about it, even if it really doesn't
Right. But
make a lot of sense. I mean, he's at least
right,
trying.
yeah, and then like the people are gonna be like, well, you know, Piper Piper lost. The
Yeah,
unholy union lost. And then he's like, but Drew McIntyre won.
yeah,
Like, but
yeah.
imagine if he does do that where all four of the Scottish born performers lose. Like
Could you
he's
imagine?
like, we just blew the roof off this place in Glasgow, but we can't come back because
No.
we incited a riot. Like, you know,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Which I mean, it could. Yeah, I mean,
I just like in turn,
out of four of them, only one of them has a decent chance of actually winning.
yeah,
That's the
that
problem, and it still doesn't make any sense.
yeah, it sucks, but like what I mean, I'm trying to figure out a way where you can make this work where you can appease everybody. I don't see
Yes.
I don't Piper Nevin has been working hard and it's showing. Like it's
Yeah.
showing like, oh, she really is a badass. Like the way we talk about
However,
the way we talk about Mariah May working in Japan and bringing that to the States, we should be saying
yeah,
that about Piper Nevin too because she comes from the same background, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, but like however, what were you gonna say?
No, no, go
No,
ahead. No, you're
I
good,
was
Nick.
just like, but it's hard to say like, um, she's on the level of Bailey right now.
No,
It's hard to say
no,
that.
she's not.
Yeah, the Unholy Union, they're very
I
good.
love
Yeah,
them.
I love their aesthetic. Obviously, we both love the spooky,
Yeah,
dark aesthetic.
yeah,
And they're a great tag team in their own right. I mean, Alba Fire, at one point you ask any true wrestling fan and they would be like, yeah, she's one of the best women wrestlers
yeah.
in all of wrestling. Um,
She is.
yeah, but again, it's Jade and Bianca. Like
Yes.
you can take the titles off of Jade and Bianca, but you would have to almost set up the angle where now it's Jade versus Bianca.
Yeah, which I'm like, we could do that if we're heading towards SummerSlam.
Yeah,
That could be a SummerSlam match.
yeah, but you could also you give them a lengthy reign,
Mm,
and then solidify them as a true tag team. And then once everybody gets into that false sense of security, where they're like,
yeah, that's
and yeah,
WrestleMania.
oh yeah, that's a very good idea. Like I know SummerSlam is gonna be a big deal, but WrestleMania is always the biggest deal. So it's like
Yeah, yeah.
you lull them into a false sense of security, like they're not gonna turn on each other. They truly want to be a dominant tag team, and then boom, it happens.
You could turn them at SummerSlam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. But again, the focus is on trying to get these Scottish-born performers their just due in Scotland in their
Yeah.
home country. I just don't see.
I don't want Damien to lose though.
I don't want Damien to lose because I feel like, and this is not just because I want the Punk situation to happen. It's more so,
Yeah.
despite him not really getting to wrestle and perform as a champion in the ring,
Yeah.
it's his promos have gotten a lot better. You
They have.
believe he's the guy that's the leader of the Judgment Day in Rhea Ripley's absence. It was really cool to see someone else who's Puerto Rican, born in the Bronx, bringing the WWE World Heavyweight Championship to the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Like,
Yeah.
like that's a big deal to Puerto Ricans. They hold that parade and that celebration very near and dear to their heart. So do I. I would love to be there, but to see the WWE World Heavyweight Champion there, and then like there's fans, young fans with Damian Priest t-shirts on,
Yeah.
freaking out when they see Damian Priest there.
He's jumping off the parade float to go take pictures with those people. So
he's honestly, even though like Judgment Day is kind of like a bad guy faction, like he's doing the things to be like a cool champion for the fans,
yeah.
So it's like maybe being biased, I don't want him to lose the championship, and it's also part because like Tony Khan says he books AEW for the sickos, using that Tommy Boy quote. A
Yeah.
real sicko would want to see CM Punk cross Drew McIntyre the title in Scotland. Like,
In Scotland.
you know, this is not like, okay, well, in 2 weeks they're going to be back in Scotland. We can right that wrong. No,
No.
they're probably not going to be there for at least a couple of years. Like, you know, so
Yeah, gotta let it cool off a
yeah,
little bit. But they won't forget
yeah,
though.
exactly. They won't forget. And so
No.
again, it's more so we can have the happy moment, or we can have the moment that people are going to be talking about for a very, very long time.
Yeah, because people tend to forget. I mean, granted, for obvious reasons, Drew already had his moment. Granted, it wasn't a hometown moment, but he already had his moment
Yeah,
in front of the fans.
yeah,
So
yeah. I think if anything, if we don't get the screw finish, we'll get Drew winning the title, and then as soon as the title when he wins the title and the show's about to go black, that's when CM Punk comes out and he does the stare down, and you're like, oh shit, it's happening at SummerSlam.
yeah, but we don't. I don't want that though. I don't want that. Like, I don't want that though. I want Damien to keep. I want Damien to hold on to it a little
Yeah,
longer.
I
Like,
do too. Like
damn,
he honestly, like, that's the thing with both he and Cody. They look like cool world champions.
in two completely different
And
ways.
two completely different ways. Drew would look like a cool world champion, but it's like he
Yeah,
really doesn't have the swagger that Damian Priest has.
yeah. Like, I want Damien's jackets. They're
Yeah,
cool.
Damien has that coolness factor, very Scott Hall, you know,
Yeah.
Razor Ramon. Drew has that cool of like an internet troll where you're like, oh, he's funny, like, you know, like
Yeah.
he's funny. He knows how to do this meme stuff, but
That's it.
it's a different level of cool. Like, you know, like you said, Damien comes out with the jacket. He holds the title. He just look like that's the dude I want to hang out with, because you know
Yeah.
all the ladies are gonna want to be around Damien. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the aura they captured when he originally came to NXT, was
Yeah.
because I knew him as Punishment Martinez,
Hmm.
which is it's funny because everybody's like, oh, bisexual Undertaker this. If you
Yeah.
if you look at Punishment Martinez's work in ROH, he was straight up ministry Undertaker.
Yeah.
Spooky as shit, had the scariest voice in the world. Okay.
Hmm.
But now it's just like he's that cool, you know, Razor Ramon-esque kind of guy.
Bisexual
And then,
Undertaker.
like, when
Like,
they brought him into NXT, remember he used to do the thing where he
ooh.
would celebrate with the ladies in the hot tub.
Yeah.
Remember that picture with
Yeah.
Triple H after he won the North American
Yeah.
Championship, and he's with, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I just, it's just so funny to me because, I had to explain to mom the whole bisexual Undertaker, like, joke and whatever. And I said the thing that, like, got me about it was not just the gif of him, like flinging his, like, hair back or
oh
whatever.
my
It
god.
was it was his entrance when he at Backlash when he, like, picked his jacket up in a certain way, and I'm like, "Damien, you are not helping yourself
Yeah,
at all,
you're
dude.
not beating the
Like,
allegations, buddy.
you're really not." Like, it's just well, he blames Rhea for
Yeah,
it,
which
and
makes a lot of sense.
Rhea's a
Yeah,
menace, we
she's a
know.
shit starter for sure.
Yeah, it's just I can't. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's too
Yeah,
good.
but I don't want him to lose the title. I love what Drew McIntyre
No.
is doing, but I just feel like the money is there to have that screwy finish, to cause chaos, to get people talking, and then maybe they can look at it and go, okay, we got to give Drew or Damian some shine as champion. You know, have him give him an opponent where he's gonna win, but he's gonna have a great match against.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's our plea.
right.
Please just don't have Damien lose. All right. So Jack also is enjoying the Tony, Mariah, and Mina love triangle.
Mhm.
It's compelling to see the jealousy of Mina and Tony, as well as the range of emotions from Mariah. Also, the fact that the story is being played seriously is awesome. We've come a long way from Lawler and Bischoff screaming HLA.
Hot lesbian action. What a
Yeah, yeah.
what a dark time in WWE, and
Yeah,
Who
I'm not gonna go there.
I mean, like, who's gonna complain about some HLA? But I mean, like,
They know how to do it in a way where it's
it's
like it's funny, but they also know that it's serious at the same
right.
time. It's
There's
not like
there's a psychological
that.
there's a psychological level, like I said earlier. They're they're fighting over Mariah May, but they're not
Which,
being
yeah,
catty. They're not having cat fights over her.
no, they're like it's real life
Yeah,
shit.
like they're gonna have the match, and she's gonna be, like we said earlier, she's gonna be a focal point. But you don't see,
She's on both sides of the graphic too.
yeah, which is great, which is a perfect.
Which I'm like, of
It's
course.
a genius idea. But you look at the interactions between Mina and Tony leading up to this match. They
Yeah,
haven't thrown fists at each other. They've thrown boots.
stuff.
They've thrown boots at each other, but
They stared at each
they
other.
haven't thrown fists. So
Not yet.
there's a level of, they both understand that they want what's best for Mariah. But
Yeah,
one wants
we all do.
exactly, but one wants to make sure that they are what's best for Mariah. And so it's on
Yeah,
a deeper psychological level. Yes, you look at the kissing and the making out and the boob thing, and of course, yeah, you're gonna. But again, if you analyze it and you're like, okay, let me put my wrestling fan brain on, there's a deeper psychological power struggle for Mariah May.
yeah, exactly. Like it goes deeper than just what you see on the
Right.
surface. What you should see on the surface. It's deeper than that. So yeah, I'm appreciating it that they're doing it in a tasteful way and not
Yeah,
that stuff.
yeah, we don't see them like tongue making out and like
No.
nothing like it's inoffensive.
No, it's enough for me to be like, yes, I'm watching respectfully, but also I want to see what happens at the actual like, Forbidden Door event because I want to see what happens
Yeah,
because I just don't want Mariah to be sad.
yeah, I don't.
Because if Mariah is sad, we're all going to be sad, and then that's not going to be a fun time. So
It's just completely unfair how beautiful she is.
I
I
know,
don't get it. Like it's unnecessary.
it's
It's
unfair.
unfair.
It's unfair, but I guess we just have to deal with
Yeah,
it.
I guess so.
It's fine. So now we go to something that I don't even want to talk about,
Oh.
but we have to. Jack is excited to see what Stat and Stokely do together. He's just also heartbroken, like I am, that Chris betrayed Orange as well. I
She's
I don't want to
she's
talk about
another
it.
meanie.
I don't want to talk about it. It makes me sad. Like
Wrestling is getting filled up with a bunch of jerks.
literally, like Stat, why do you have to do this to me?
Stat,
Like I still love you, but also, God
see,
damn
the
it.
thing is, it's like
It works though.
but it's like, yes, Stat's mean, but it's like Stokely. Stokely is the one that is,
Like get out of here. Get
he's
out of
the
here.
he's the one pushing the buttons, and you know it because
That first promo, I will say that first promo he had where he was like, yeah, like she came back after injuring her leg twice. And some of these people or some of these bitches call in when they have like the sniffles. I'm not even talking about the women. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, you got me. You got me on that one. But it works, but it makes you sad.
yeah, but it's just like man, I feel like this is the genius of Stokely Hathaway, who even outside, yeah, he's
Unhinged.
unhinged. He's easily the funniest person in professional wrestling, but he also
Yeah.
knows he has that ability. Like, you can see why Chris is being this way. She's being manipulated in a
Hmm.
way that, like, she's buying into the manipulation. And so
Yeah.
now you
Yeah.
have this evil little bald man, Stokely Hathaway. He has an absolute killer in Chris Statlander. Like, she's a
Yeah.
beast. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It
Like,
is.
so it's just like, yeah, but why you gotta mess with Orange? Orange he doesn't hate
Yeah.
anybody. Like,
Catching
yeah,
strays.
it's completely unfair. I don't like it.
It's not fair.
I don't like mean people in wrestling.
It's just making me
Yeah.
sad. I'm interested, but I'm also sad, unfortunately. Something we're also interested in, Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata is a faction Jack can get behind. Great camera work by Shibata as
Oh,
well.
I love it, love it, love it.
Yeah,
This is a genius idea.
it's a cool
Yeah,
group.
whoever came up with this idea to put all three of them together deserves a pay raise.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely loving Shibata, and this is because I literally watched Shibata in New Japan be an absolute destroyer. He
Hmm.
never got his just due. I feel like he should have at least had a run with the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. He never got that, but the things that he did, specifically, like you look back at that match against um Tanahashi. I can't remember the year, but it was
Hmm.
the story was Shibata left New Japan to try MMA when New Japan was really struggling, and Tanahashi took offense to that. And then
Yeah.
Shibata comes back, and they have this match. And there's the one spot of this match where Shibata just hits a backspin slap to Tanahashi, and Tanahashi just fucking crumbles to the point where the referee
Yeah.
crumbled with Tanahashi, like, oh my god, he's really hurt. The match he
Yeah.
had with Okada, where he headbutted Okada, and then you see that long line of blood trickle down
Hmm.
his forehead. He could have died, basically.
Yeah.
The reason I bring that up is again to my earlier point in the episode where we talk about these people coming from Japan, they come to WWE, and everybody's like, why are you working kind of lighter than what you did in Japan? It's because these guys literally messed up their bodies doing
Yeah.
stuff
Oh yes.
in Japan. So when they come to the States to work in WWE or AEW, they know they don't have to do that.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
the matches that they have in New Japan sometimes go, it's the norm to go 25-30 minutes, and it's 25-30 minutes of you beating the hell out of somebody and you getting the shit kicked out of you.
Yeah.
In the States, you don't have to do that. That's not what we do in the States. We have an entertainment level to it where you can be like Okada, where you're flipping off fans and driving a Lamborghini and being a dick. You can be Shibata, who elevated his character by communicating with his phone and making it interesting and entertaining and funny. And then
Hmm.
you combined him with Samoa Joe and Hook, who are all three are cut from the same cloth, where they're absolute monsters and can
Yeah.
just
Oh yes.
disintegrate you within an instant. But it's just like, I kind of want to hang out with those dudes, like,
Yeah. It seemed like a good time.
yeah, they would be an excellent time. So as soon as I saw this, I was like, this is perfect. This is genius. This is great.
I agree. Like, I can't wait to see more of
Yeah.
these because it's just going to be a fun time.
He asked Hook about lacrosse. Hook is explaining lacrosse to him, and then instantly it's like, oh, okay, we got to go beat the shit out of these dudes.
Literally, it's like, okay, we'll talk about this later. We have to go kick some ass.
Yeah, like if they add Daniel Garcia to that group, whew,
Oh God, it's over.
that is money right there. That's more money than the Blackpool Combat Club.
Yeah, and that's saying
And
something.
then if we get Thumb versus the Blackpool Combat Club, brother.
It was like, all right, we're done. I think show's over.
Brother, okay, who's gonna call me first, Triple H or Tony Khan? Because I'm spitting out free game
Yeah,
here. That's like, it's just, oh man. See, this is why wrestling is
yeah,
cool.
yeah. See, this is why it's just so much fun.
Yeah,
What can I say? What can I say? It's just
it's
fun.
just fun.
Daniel Bryan or Brian Danielson's promo for the Owen Hart tournament was awesome. Yeah, hmm, I have some feelings though.
Oh,
I feel like I heard it and I'm like, great promo. Don't get me wrong, promo was great,
mm-hmm.
but it was almost, at least in my mind, I'm just like, he's winning it now, as me.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I hate that though, because then it's just like, okay, well, like it doesn't matter because whoever he's going against is gonna lose. He's gonna win this whole thing.
But
But then it's just like, but then it's like, why do we? Because if his promo comes true, let's just say it, he wins the tournament, he gets the title shot, he wins the title. Oh, I go out on top. They are so. That is such a bad habit of with AEW of doing that kind of
yeah,
shit, where it's like, okay, but then it's like, okay, once he's gone, and you have to relinquish the title, and you have inevitably another tournament for the same title. What the hell is the point?
yeah,
Just for the feel good moment, like,
yeah. I think for me, it's like we kind of forget the fact that the person who wins the Owen Cup gets a world title shot. So,
Yeah.
like, he'll win the Owen Cup, have that feel good moment, and then eventually he'll probably lose the world title shot because, again, Bryan Danielson has really no aspirations to be AEW world champion. He just wants to
Yeah.
help AEW grow, but not as champion. He just wants to use his name to help them grow, which is perfectly fine. So I feel like that's the situation. Like, yeah, you're right. It's almost foregone conclusion that he's going to win the Owen Cup. But again, let's not forget the caveat of winning the Owen Cup, which is getting that title opportunity. And did they say that title opportunity was that All In?
Yes. I think they did.
Yeah. So
I don't remember. Don't quote us on
yeah,
that,
but I
but
mean, you know, let's say Swerve goes into All In as champion, Swerve versus Bryan Danielson in front of 75, 80,000 people. I don't know what the tickets are like this year, but to have that,
who knows?
yeah, to have that big setting, and that be the swan song. Because again, traditionally in wrestling, when you go out of wrestling, you bow out as someone taking the loss because you want to elevate who's going to stay there.
Yeah.
So it makes all the sense in the world that if they set up a world title shot at All In, he doesn't win. But again, it's Bryan Danielson, so you're going to get a 5-star performance. He's going to come out, all the fanfare, people are going to go crazy. He's going to have a classic match. Everybody's going to be like, oh, he's done. We're going to have that like Shawn Michaels retirement situation, and that'll be that. So it's
Yeah.
just yeah, it's just somebody else is going to have to come in and kind of cut the same believable promo that he did to be like, okay, maybe this guy is going to win and not Bryan Danielson.
Yeah. It would be
Yeah.
nice. Oh, just surprise me, please. That's all I want. Can we normalize not playing, working through injuries in all sports?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I wish that was a thing,
Yeah.
but gotta keep up that macho, I don't know, facade, I
I,
guess, would be the
I don't
thing,
I don't
but
know so much as like this day and age it's a macho facade other than like I want to say complete stupidity, but that sounds negative. But it's like
yeah, it's that, like, quitter mentality of, "Oh, well, if you can't do it, then you're just weak." It's like, "No, maybe I just don't wanna blow my knee
yeah,
out and be out for longer than I would have been if I just sat at home for a week."
right. And then but the situation is if you go home, for an extended period of time, there goes your spot on TV, you know? And then if you
Yeah,
lose your spot on TV, you potentially lose money. And again, we're 2024, we live in a situation where, just having a full-time job is not enough to survive,
no,
So
no.
imagine if these guys have these big contracts, but now they got to worry about health insurance for all of their family members. They got to,
Mhm.
yeah,
Bills.
bills, putting their kids through great education, just not run of the mill public school education. They want, maybe private school. Those things add up. Cars, houses, travel, hotel, all those things add up. So it's like, you run the risk is like, do I really want to step away or can I fight through this because I need to, because I have so much
Yeah,
responsibility? It's just sad because you look at the Dax Harwood situation,
yeah.
that's bad. Like that, I watched the
Yeah,
video today and I just like, wow, that's bad. Like to
yeah.
have a hematoma the size of a football in your back to where
Mhm.
your pain level is at a 10, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that for anybody, not even Chris Jericho. Uh,
Yeah, that's saying
yeah,
something.
yeah, I wouldn't want that for anybody. So again, props to him for being transparent about it. Um, but as a fan, professional wrestlers, like if you're a true fan of professional wrestling, you care about these men and women. You want them to be happy and healthy and have a
Yeah.
decent quality of life in and out of the ring for the rest of their life. Because unfortunately, that's not always the case more often than not. And the reason being is because they basically sacrifice their health for our entertainment, you know?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah, and
much.
it
It
it just goes back
ugh.
to it just goes back to maybe we don't need to be so negative all the time about this shit. Like,
No.
these are real people with real feelings and real emotions. And again, they're sacrificing years off their lives to bring us some joy and entertainment. So
Yeah, and that's lost on a lot of
that
people, clearly.
it is very lost. Like I understand the flack that Dax gets because a lot like the MJF stuff, it's very much I love my wife, I love my
Yeah.
daughter, I love professional wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, but
But again, that's no excuse to be like, I want this guy to be in excruciating pain for the rest of his life. Yeah,
exactly. It's just so to read the room.
yeah, exactly.
All right, our final question of the night. This is why I had to say this one. If we had to pick 4 wrestlers to be on our bar trivia team,
Oof.
who would we choose and why? So, Jack's team would consist of Britt for medical sciences,
Good.
makes sense. RJ City for old media and pop culture references,
Perfect.
also makes sense. Xavier Woods for random nerd stuff,
Perfect.
and Luchasaurus since he has a master's in medieval history.
Ooh, that's interesting.
That's an interesting
Yeah.
team. So if we're gonna go off of I'm just gonna say we'll just go off of Jack's categories because bar trivia can be pretty much anything.
Yeah.
So I would say for the old media and pop culture references, I would swap out RJ for Tony Storm for obvious reasons. Just because. Um, swap out Xavier for Adam Cole for nerd stuff.
Ooh, yeah, he's a
For
super nerd.
he really for obvious reasons,
He's like,
clearly.
if you watch his Twitch stream, he's the nerdiest dude on the
He really
planet.
is.
Like, like he's just such a good guy, completely different
Not
from the Adam Cole wrestler.
literally. Chugs is different
Yeah,
than Adam Cole
way
for sure.
different. Like this dude's a geek.
He really is. It's funny. We love it. So the history buff, I suppose we could swap out Luchasaurus for That's a tough one though.
Yeah.
And damn, so we'd have to all right, so we need somebody for history and we need someone for medical sciences stuff.
Okay.
Because I think we got the old pop culture media and got the nerd stuff down. So we need something for medical stuff and we need someone for history. Right. I feel like Britt though is specific medical science, not
because she has. I don't think anybody else has a legit medical background. Yeah. So she
is it really bar trivia though? I don't think there was ever really a medical I don't know. I haven't done bar trivia in a while.
Yeah, you never know with bar trivia, so it's hard to tell. Yeah, the medical I'd probably keep Britt there.
Yeah, we'll keep Britt. So for history though,
I got one for history. I don't know if it'll work, but not because I didn't know Luchasaurus was that well versed.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So that's pretty interesting. But I have a guy I feel like would be good.
Okay.
Samoa Joe.
I mean, he's pretty cerebral.
Yeah, I feel like he knows a lot of stuff.
You know what? If honestly at that point too, I just jogged it into my memory. Throw Triple H in there for history and stuff.
That's a good one.
Because he loves the Latin, which means he's studied up on that kind of stuff, I'm sure. So
yeah.
We'll swap them out. They can be substitutes for each other.
I got one for nerd culture.
Okay.
Zelina Vega.
Yeah, that. See, the worst part is I could also throw others in there, but I don't want to be too obvious. But
you could definitely throw Shayna in there.
You could throw Dakota in there too. Actually, she's a nerd too.
I feel like Shayna is she's
oh, if it's Star Wars, game over. It's Shayna. There's nobody else
on the nerd scale. It's Adam Cole, Xavier Woods, Shayna Baszler,
Zelina,
and then but Zelina's you know, because everything.
If it's anime,
Yeah,
it's
that's the thing,
Alina.
because like now anime is still nerd culture, but it's cool culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all of a sudden, everyone loves anime
Yeah,
now.
you know,
Like,
like so it's like cool, but I feel like it's still embedded in nerd culture itself.
yeah.
You know who else is a big like video game nerd that I didn't know that I learned through
Hmm.
Up Up Down Down? Braun Breaker. Yeah,
Really?
is a
Huh.
huge like video game nerd. Apparently, he's really good at like Fortnite. You know,
No, God, not
yeah, but
Fortnite.
like he loves like the old Super Smash Bros on N64. You know, stuff like that.
Nice.
So I didn't know he was that big of a nerd. Um,
Hey, we'll take it then, right? I feel like Jack had to be. We needed more specifics. What type of bar trivia were we talking here? Because we could have vastly different teams for vastly different like
yeah,
topics.
yeah.
Like, but I think we got a
I
well-rounded
think
team
so.
right
I
there.
think the
We'd
the
win.
historical stuff too is really cool because again, like you said, Luchasaurus. I didn't know that about Luchasaurus. I just feel like Samoa Joe is such a well-read person. Like
Yeah, I would
he
agree.
might know like quotes from The Art of War from Sun Tzu or something like that.
Maybe,
Like I just
maybe RJ's a good
oh
one
yeah.
too for like old
Yeah,
media,
yeah.
like that. Yeah,
Is like an encyclopedia of like Turner classic movies.
that's why I put Tony in there too for obvious
Yeah,
reasons. So I mean,
but like RJ is like friends with David Arquette. He was friends
yeah,
with Paul Rubens, who's no longer with us, and like those, especially Paul Rubens, is like you know that's Pee Wee Herman. But
yeah.
this guy was a super articulate, very intelligent man, and they were friends with RJ City. So it's like,
Like,
uh,
what a
yeah,
fascinating
yeah,
guy.
RJ City is really like really fast, and if you can have a show where you drink coffee in your little skimpy underwear and you have
Yeah,
Stone Cold Steve Austin as a guest, like
it's
what
insane.
is happening? Hey EW is one of the funniest, most entertaining shows in all of pro wrestling. Like it's a perfect sort of let's do wrestling content outside of wrestling. It's just great. RJ City's fantastic. I would love to see him in that pop culture you know, role where he can really flourish and definitely get us some points at the bar.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I think we got this. But if it came to Star Wars trivia, it's Shane and I against
Oh
everybody
yeah.
else. Like and they're done. You guys are
You
done.
guys are finished. I'll just be sitting there like I only know Darth Maul and Jar Jar Binks. Outside of that, don't ask me nothing about nothing when it comes
I
to.
mean, you made a good choice for my like birthday present
Did I?
though.
Did
Yeah, it made me laugh. It made me
because
laugh.
to me, for those that don't know, Shay's birthday just passed. I got her a shirt that's the iconic Star Wars logo, but instead of saying Star Wars, it just says pew 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 like the
Yeah,
lasers from Star. And for me, it's perfect because again, I don't know shit about Star Wars, but so but I
it
know
made me
you
laugh because I've seen that shirt before too. So as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I know exactly what this
yeah,
is.
it's like me giving you a Star Wars thing, not knowing a damn thing about Star Wars.
And you're like, I just hope you have
Yeah,
fun.
I'm glad you like it because it made me chuckle.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hilarious. I thought it was so funny. So yeah, thank
no
you.
problem.
But in other news, we're done. We did
We
the thing.
finished. All right,
We're all done.
we're out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, goodbye. Bye guys.
Yeah, seriously, show's over. We're out. No,
All right, out.
thank you guys if you've listened to the entire episode. Tonight was super fun because I feel like we covered so many different things. It feels like
Everything.
some weeks we cover WWE a lot, some weeks it's AEW heavy. This week it's like WWE, AEW, TNA. Like we covered a lot of different stuff. So that's really cool. So I'm
Yeah.
super happy with this episode. And if you listen to this entire episode, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do so. If you're listening to this episode, probably listening it on your platform of choice, but if not, just let you know this podcast is available on all the major platforms. Basically anywhere you can listen to podcasts, the show should be available. If for some reason it is not available on your platform of choice, just find us on social media and let us know, and I will personally provide you a link on a silver platter. But
The silver
the
platter.
silver platter, but you have to give the silver platter back because we only have one.
101.
101. So hit us up on social media. Where can you find us on social media? very interesting question. We're available on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, basically anywhere you consume any type of social media. The Ringside Rundown is available there. You can go to our Linktree link, linktree.com/ringside rundown. That'll give you a list of the places we are, plus platforms where the podcast is available. I also do live watch-alongs for all WWE and AEW shows on Twitch, twitch.tv/ringside rundown. Check me out there. You can also check me out personally, Talking Wrestling, on my personal wrestling account on Twitter, which is at WrestlingChron, CHRON at the end. So Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Twitter at ShayleenHickson21, but definitely go follow Erik with all his stuff. He's doing all the work. I'm doing the best I can to help out, but he's definitely doing all the heavy lifting.
Like I said, you're like you've become like the little treat of Ringside Rundown where like you lend your expertise and it's like, damn, like I feel like I know it's a person's choice, but I feel like you would do so well, like the same way doing the content that I do, like explaining your passion and your love for professional wrestling, because that's why the show works so well. We're on the same wave. Like I feel it's interesting because one time in chat when I was doing the Twitch stream, somebody was like, well, about your show, is it like a debate show? Like we're like Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith. And I'm like, honestly, it's the complete opposite of that. We're so in sync and so on the same wavelength, but I feel like that's why it works because as I said earlier, our goal is to not be negative and critical about wrestling. It's to be critical, and then if we're critical about something, try to make it better as a fan. We're just giving you our perspective as fans, and that's why we leave you the opportunity to just send us in questions. You know, like it's a conversation between the listener and you and I doing this whole deal.
Yeah, exactly. We want to be more positive when it comes to certain things.
Yeah, that's the goal. And trust me, it's an uphill battle because you should see the YouTube comments and the Instagram comments. Is like, you know, but I'd take that, I'm actually enjoying doing this stuff, so I'll take the brunt of that. It's just people are weird. Like the big thing now today is like everybody's like, well, if Ricochet's leaving, Samantha Irvin's got to be leaving too. And I'm like,
no, that's not how it
I'm
works.
like, are you guys adults? Because if you're not, like,
no,
I can educate you and let you know that even though they're a couple, they can do different things in different parts of the industry, much like a lot of wrestlers do. You know, they're not going to be the first couple to work at both places separately. Like that is actually a common thing, you know?
It's really not that hard, guys, but apparently it is.
I just thought,
sure.
like, social media, it shows that like a lot of people don't have social etiquette.
No, at all.
Yeah, but
they really don't.
Yeah, but before I get into a whole conversation about the intricacies of social media, let us get the hell out of here and end the show. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Ringside Rundown. If you could do us a favor, just share it amongst your wrestling friends, leave us a comment, drop a like, let us know if you liked the episode, and if you have time, send us in a question and we'll answer it on the show.
Yeah.
All right.
Here.
So for Shay Hickson, my name is Erik Vasquez. Thank you for listening to the Ringside Rundown, and we will check you out. We'll send you another episode next week. You have a good night, guys.
See you later, guys.